Thank you very much, dear devotees. So we will continue our study of Sri Brahma Samhita. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवम्। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So let me share the verse from Brahma Samhita. Okay, can you all see? Okay. So last week we read about the description of Mahavishnu and Ananta. So we are reading of different planetary systems under the Goloka Dham, and then the presiding deities or the controllers of each of them, and then different devatas or different incarnations of the Lord, different incarnations as well as the different energies and controlling devatas where Lord Krishna has given control to them. So in the last verse, we read, Yasaikanishvasita kalamathavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadand-nathāha Vishnur mahan sa iha yasya kala vishesho govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tamaham bhajāmi. So here the description of Mahavishnu is given, and as well as there is a reference of Jagadanda-natha, unlimited Brahmas, who are the controlling deities or who are the controllers of each of the universes, and there are multiple universes, and they are all coming from the bodily hair pores of that Mahavishnu. So that Mahavishnu is also a kala vishesha of Lord Sri Krishna. He is also a plenary portion or expansion of Lord Sri Krishna. So now in today's verse, we learn about the master of each universe, that is the Brahmaji. So who again is empowered deity on for each of the universe. So this verse goes like this. bhāsvān yathāśma-śakaleṣu nijeṣu tejaḥ svīyam kiyat prakaṭayaty tadvad Brahmāya esha jagad-aṇḍa-vidhāna-kartā govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tamahaṁ bhajāmi. So bhāsvān yathāśma-śakaleṣu nijeṣu tejaḥ. Bhāsvān means sun, which is illuminating its energy or illuminating its light. Yatha, just like sun is illuminating its light on the ashma-śakaleṣu. So there are various precious or some bright stones on this in this material world. So when those bright stones, like the precious jewels or precious stones, they get the energy of sun and then they reflect that energy. So when we are looking at those stones, we also think that they are also shining, they are also bright and shining, but they are actually reflecting the energy or reflecting the effulgence that they get from sun. So bhāsvān yatha, yathāśma-śakaleṣu nijeṣu tejaḥ svīyam kiyat prakaṭayaty. So they also manifest the light that they or energy that they get from sun in the same manner. Api tavad atra Brahmā esha jagad-aṇḍa-vidhāna-kartā. In the same manner, also Brahma, who is the master of each and every universe, which jagad-aṇḍa. So each and every universe which is referred as jagad-aṇḍa, and the master of this universe is Brahma, who gets the energy from Krishna, or the effulgence of Krishna, or the powers from Krishna for creation here. So tavad atra, in the same manner, just like sun, the shining jewel or shining stone reflects the energy of sunshine, and it seems that it is also shining. The stone is also shining, and it seems that the stone is bright itself. So it gets the energy, but that energy is coming from the brilliance, or energy is coming from sun, and the sun is reflecting that energy, manifesting that energy through that jewel. In the same manner, Brahma gets his energy from Krishna, and then then Krishna manifests his energy or empowers Brahma so that he can use that for the creation in the Rajoguna. So in this govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tam ahaṁ bhajāmi, to that Govinda whose energy that Brahma gets, or who gets empowered by Krishna, to that Govinda Brahmaji is offering prayers. O ādi-puruṣaṁ tam ahaṁ bhajāmi. So here in the translation it says, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bear the name of Sūryakānta. So the gems are known as Sūryakānta, etc. There are other gems which reflect the energy of sun, and they seem shining. In the same manner, Brahmaji receives his power for the regulation of this mundane world from whom? From Lord Krishna, or from Govinda. So that is the analogy given here. So Brahmaji, and here if you see Brahmaji, in the last couple of verses when we read about Ananta or Mahavishnu, it was mentioned, it was translated as separated portion. We can see that. So it was, or subjective personality. But here, that subjective person, but here there is additional word is used for Brahma here, separated subjective portion. Because Brahmaji is not Vishnu Tattva, but he is generally or mostly a Jiva Tattva, who is empowered by Krishna's energy, who was empowered for the creation in this specific, in each specific universe, where he is a master of that universe. So let's read the short purport quickly. Brahma is two types. In certain kalpas, when the potency of Supreme Lord infuses himself in an eligible jiva, the latter acts in the office of Brahma and creates the universe. So there are some qualified jivas who is eligible to take the post of Brahmaji, and it is mentioned somewhere, I don't remember now, but it is the qualification of becoming Brahma is if one jiva lives 100 lifetimes without any sinful activity, without any sin or any imperfection, 100 perfect lives, then he becomes eligible to become Brahma. But again, to find some such soul is also not always possible. So that's where the second type of Brahma is mentioned here. So in those kalpas, when no eligible jiva is available, after the Brahma of the previous kalpa is liberated, Krishna, by the process of allotment of his own potency, creates the Brahma who has the nature of the avatara or descent of the divinity in the active mundane principle or the rajoguna. So Krishna himself takes incarnation or avatara. He himself descends to take the position of Brahma. He creates the Brahma so that Brahma can maintain that universe. In cases where there is no eligible jiva is available. By principle, Brahma is superior to ordinary jivas, but is not the direct divinity. So Brahma is superior to all the jivas. It is also a jiva tattva, and Brahma also has, I think it mentions later, 50 attributes. Those are mentioned in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 21st chapter, where there are different 64 qualities of Krishna are given. And a jiva, when he attains the perfection, he has 50 qualities. But Brahma has all those 50 qualities as perfected. But Brahma is also a jiva tattva. And it takes that powers or to the power to regulation from Krishna. Krishna empowers that Brahma. By principle, Brahma is superior to the ordinary jivas, but is not the direct divinity, is not Vishnu tattva, or is not close to Krishna. The divine nature is present in greater measure in Shambhu than in Brahma. So Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is superior to Brahma by his qualities. Again, Lord Shambhu is greater than Jiva Tattva, but is not a Vishnu Tattva. So it is in between Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. And that's why there is a separate mention of Shambhu Tattva. The fundamental significance of the above is that the aggregate of 50 attributes belonging to the Jiva are present in fuller measure in Brahma, who possesses in lesser degree. 5 more attributes which are not found in Jivas, they are in, but in Shambhu, both the 50 attributes of the Jiva and as also the 5 additional attributes found in Brahma are present in even greater measure than Brahma. And that's why Shambhu Tattva is superior to Jiva Tattva, and Brahma is the superior ordinary living entity of Jiva Tattva. So that's the mention given here. So I wanted to continue with the next verse also. So if you also notice in the Vedic literature, for people who are worshipping other deities, Panchopasana is recommended. So in the Panchopasana, there are 5 deities that are worshipped. So in that, Lord Shiva, Vishnu, Durga or Sri Tattva, and Ganesha and Surya. All these 5 deities, if you see in these verses after which are mentioned after the Goloka Namni Nijadhamni Talechakasya, in all these different worlds, all these 5 deities are mentioned here. They are described here. So far we have seen Shambhu, Vishnu, and here there is a description of Brahma. We also read about Durga, Srushti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha. So in the next verse, we'll read about Lord Ganesha, who is also one of the deities worshipped in the Panchopasana. So here, Brahmaji is praying, yat-pāda-pallava-yugaṁ vinidhāya kumbha dvandve praṇāma-samaye sa gaṇādhirājaḥ vighnān vihantum alamasya jagat-trayasya govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tam ahaṁ bhajāmi. So here he's saying yat-pāda-pallava-yugaṁ. So whose pada-pallava yugam, 2 lotus feet. Pada is feet and pallava is like a flower bud or sometimes leaves. So here in this reference, it is lotus feet of vinidhāya, one who is holding where kumbha dvandve on his 2 protruding tumulis. So Ganesha has head of elephant. So on the two protruding tumulis, he is holding lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. And when praṇāma-samaye, when he is offering obeisances to Lord Shri Krishna, gaṇādhirājaḥ, to that gaṇādhirājaḥ or Ganesha, who is the leader of all the Ganas, and who is empowered for vighnān vihantam alam asya jagat-trayasya, who is empowered by Krishna to remove the obstacles in all material gains of this all three worlds, three in the mundane universe, jagat-trayasya. So vighnān vihantum. So if you see in all the Vedic references, whenever there is some kind of worship is done or some kind of rituals are performed, they may be like starting some business or sending a child to school, or even in the beginning of learning, if you see in old days, they will always write Ganesha first. So Ganesha has been given a special position in Vedic literature, all the Vedic rituals. So Ganesha is always worshipped first, and particularly he is considered as the deity of intelligence as well as deity who will destroy all the obstacles on their material gain or whatever rituals they are performing. They perform for getting removing all the obstacles from their success. So that's why Ganesha is also called as Vighnāharta, one who takes away all the obstacles, one who removes all the obstacles. So, and that he is empowered from Krishna himself. Vighnān vihantam alam asya jagat-trayasya. To that Govinda, whose lotus feet Ganesha is holding on his tumuli when he is offering obeisances, to that govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tam ahaṁ bhajāmi. So Brahmaji is praying to that Govinda ādi-puruṣa, the original personality of Godhead. I worship to that Govinda. So here he's saying, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. So all the path of progress, wherever people are performing any Vedic rituals for any material gain, the success in this material world in Vedic literature is considered as dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So for any those type of rituals, they worship Ganesha first, which that Ganesha gets power for that function of destroying all the obstacles from Krishna himself. The power of destroying all the obstacles of mundane prosperity has been delegated to Ganesha, who is the object of worship to those who are eligible to worship him. He has obtained a rank among the 5 gods as Brahma, possessing mundane quality. The self-same Ganesha is the god in possession of delegated power of infusion by the divine power. All his glory rests entirely on the grace of Govinda. So all these devatas who many people worship for gaining something, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, kāmaisthaiste ritagyāna prapadyantenya devata tam tam niyamamastaya prakrutya yathāśma-śakaleṣu yo yam yam tanum bhakti shraddhaya chitum ichchati. So one whose intelligence is stolen by the desire to enjoy, kāmaisthaiste ritagyāna, those kind of people, prapadyante anya devata, they worship all the other demigods like this Panchopasana or other demigods for getting some benedictions from them, getting some material benedictions. But Krishna says that even though they are worshipping them, I am the one to fulfill their desire, make their worship or shraddha, their faith, firm in that particular deity. And also Krishna says in the 9th chapter also, Yepenya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita te api mameva kaunteya yajante avidhi-purvakam. That whoever worship any other devata for getting some material benefit, they also worship me, but avidhi-purvakam, but indirectly or in a wrong way. So that is also mentioned where in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where deity worship is given or described, when Krishna describes the deity worship in this 27th chapter of 11th canto. He describes how this deity worship of Krishna is to be performed. But particularly, then he describes all this Kriya Yoga, or how one should pick a deity made up of one of the 8 different materials. Either it is stone, metal, or picture, or even in mind, or jewels, and etc. And then how that is to be, the deity worship is to be performed. But along with this Krishna's deity, he mentions about the worship of other devatas also, who can be in the altar, and how they are worshipped. In that also, there is a mention of Ganesha. So here, when he describes all these different devatas, so along with Krishna, he says that one should worship Lord's associates, Nanda and Sunanda, and Garuda, then Prachanda and Chanda. So all the associates of Krishna are also to be worshipped with Krishna in the altar. And if there are any other deities are to be worshipped, then here he says that with the offering such a prokshana, one should worship Durga, Vinayaka, Vyasa, Vishwaksena, the spiritual masters, and various demigods. And all these demigods, actually, all these personalities should be in the proper place, facing the deity of the Lord. So in the deity worship, the other devatas worship is not completely prohibited, but it is to be done in a proper way, understanding their position as subservient or servants of the Lord. When we understand that all the devatas are actually working under the guidance, under the order of the Supreme Lord, to fulfill his desires, to maintain this universe, then that worship is not avidhi-purvakam, because we are ultimately worshipping Krishna, and they are like the devotees of Krishna, and we are worshipping them also as devotees of Krishna. So here in this verse, it is mentioned Durgam, Vinayakam, Vyasam, Vishwaksenam, Gurun, Suran. So Durga is Durga Devi, who is the control or the facilitator. We read about her in the Brahma Samhita again. Vinayakam, that is Ganesha. Vyasam, Vyasadev. Vishwaksena, that is Krishna himself. And Guru, the spiritual master. And Suran, other devatas. Sve sve sthane, they have to be put according to the places. Tvabhimukhan, where their faces, they are facing to the Lord. Pujayet prokshanadibhi. So, prokshana, after a proper sprinkling water or purifying them, then everything, they can be worshipped in this manner. So the deity worship Krishna, and this is Krishna himself describing to Uddhava what is the process of deity worship, how one should worship Krishna in deity form, and what other forms or other associates of Lord and other devatas can be worshipped in the altar along with Krishna's deity. So there is also mention of Vinayakam there. So, but again, all the devatas are to be worshipped as subservients of the Lord and not for any material gain. We are worshipping them or out of respect, because they are serving the direct order of the Lord to maintain this universal affairs in this material creation. So in that mode, we have to worship them. So that is what Ganesha worship is also mentioned here. That Ganesha is also mentioned in this verse. And There was also one very beautiful pair in sixth canto. Let me see if I had that. I was reading. Yeah, when Daksha in sixth canto offers prayers to Lord Sri Krishna, 6:4:34. So he mentions all the Devata worshippers as Prakrute Jnanapati. So who are of the lower grade worshippers. Ya Prakrtir Jnanapathe Jnanam yathāśyaṁ deha gati vibhāti yathānīla parthivam guna sa ishvaram me kurutva manoratham. Where he says, as the air carries various characteristics of the physical elements like aroma of the flower or the colors resulting from the mixture of the dust in air, the Lord appears through lower systems of worship according to one's desire. So just like the aroma of flower is carried, or the dust of the flower particles, the mixture of the uh, what do you call, the saffron on the flowers that is spreading, in the same manner Lord also appears for the lower system of the worshippers according to one's desires in those devata forms. Although he appears as demigod and is not his original form, what is the use of other forms? May the original Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfill my desires. So this is where Daksha is praying that what is the use of worship of all those different forms? So when we are worshipping other devatas, we are offering, Krishna is accepting our worship through those devatas. So we are ultimately worshipping Krishna himself, just like he is the one who appears as those devatas and he accepts our worship, and he is the one who is fulfilling the material desires of the worshipper also. The verse I was thinking, there is also a verse, yathā-akāśam, just like a rainwater which falls from the clouds, which ultimately goes to the ocean in the form of river or some or the other way, it always goes to ocean. In the same manner, a worship of performed for any devata actually ultimately goes to Keshava. So any worship, what we are doing, be it offered to Brahma or Shiva or Ganesha, ultimately is Krishna's worship. But that worship, if not done with that understanding, is called avidhi-purvakam. So that's the two verses I was planning to describe today. So we learned about Brahma and Ganesha in these two verses. I'll stop there. Thank you for sharing, Vrajajivan Prabhu, that verse. Do you want to go over it?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I think this one is spoken by Lord Shiva. So this he says that Swadharmanishta Sudajanma Bhi Puman Virinchita Meti. So one who is fixed in Swadharma for 100 births, that person actually attains the state of Brahma. And then he says, even beyond that, one who is more qualified than that attains the state attains the abode of Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
Then one who is further qualified attains the state of Arpa or the abode of Vishnu.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving that reference.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Krishna.
So, Brajajivan Prabhuji, you said that further there are more, eligibility. about then what you mentioned about Brahma, that is a person who does his swadharma properly for 100 lifetimes, he gets to become Brahma. And you said further some criteria for Shiva, you said, but as we know, Shiva is also controller. Ishwar is not a jiva, right? So it is not somebody can take his position.
Yeah, so this is for Brahma alone, it is said virinchata. Virinchata means basically the state of Brahma. For others, it doesn't say the state of themselves. So here in Sanskrit it says, Eti tataha param hi mam, they attain me. So he didn't say they attain the state of me. They attain me. So she
They
was
attain that abode.
correct. Then for Vishnu, they say Vaishnavam Padam. They attain the abode of Vishnu.
So here it said,
Yeah, and if he becomes more qualified, he can approach Lord Shiva. Doesn't say that he can.
He doesn't become Lord Shiva, he approaches Lord Shiva.
Yes, he can approach Lord Shiva.
Correct.
So any explanation for that, like becomes more qualified in the sense what he has to do additional to be able to approach Lord Shiva? And approach means, is it like attaining his abode or what it is?
So, as I said, in Sanskrit, if you look at it, is only one verb used for all of them. Eti. Eti is generally going or attaining. The second line of the verse, it says eti. And that verb is reused for all three of them. The first person, it says virinchata. Virinchata means the state of Brahma, or the Prabhupada makes it more clear by saying host of Brahma. But for others, it doesn't say the state of Shiva or state of Vishnu. Rather, it says the abode of Vishnu for Vishnu, and for the abode of Vishnu for Vishnu, and then for Shiva, he says they attain me, not the state of mind. So except for Brahma, everything else here is mentioned is that they attain the abode of Shiva or Vishnu. But for Brahma alone, it says virinchata. Virinchata means the post of Brahma. Same word is used, eti. It doesn't say what is the more qualification. It just says tatah param. Tatah param means more than that. And I don't see the commentators also explaining that.
Yeah, so it is translated as more qualified. So what is the Sanskrit literal meaning?
Tatah param.
Param. Yeah, please go ahead, bro.
Sorry, bro. Please go ahead. It's your class.
No, that's fine. You are explaining this, so please go ahead.
Tatah param. Tatah param means beyond that. So just more qualified than that, as Prabhupada puts it.
Okay. So thank you, Prabhuji, for this. And I wanted to ask about, I think Rupa Goswami in one of the 64 limbs mentions about worship of Lord Ganesha. Is it correct, Prabhuji?
In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, I don't remember. Do you remember on the top of it, Brajajaman Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. So he says that Jiva Goswami, he comments on that. I think, no, actually, Rupa Goswami doesn't say that. It is a commentary of Jiva Goswami. In the commentary of Jiva Goswami, he lists out the offenses, different offenses. And one of the offenses is worshipping the Lord without worshipping Ganesha. So there, however, there is also a footnote given by Maharaj, that Banu Maharaj, he says that for the devotees, they don't worship Ganesha. For the devotees, they rather, because they don't worship the devatas, rather they worship Vishwakshena, who is a spiritual Ganesha. So this is like a Ganesha in the spiritual world. And this is the same thing. The Gopal Bhatta Goswami also gives in his book called Samskara Deepika. So in Samskara Deepika, he writes a whole section in the beginning saying that how the devotee shouldn't worship the devatas. And then he says, but then there are quotations like this where it says one should not worship the Lord without worshiping Ganesha. So he says then for the devotees, you should worship Vishnu instead. So it gives all alternatives. And then you also have the quotation where one should one should worship the Pitru, one should worship the forefathers. So he gives an alternative saying that instead of worshiping the forefathers, you worship the Guru Parampara. So he replaces all these items, even in the process of the sacrifice or the samskara to be done, with all the Vaishnava replacements. So that's why we worship the acharyas, we worship Vishnu, and so on and so forth. We are performing homos.
Thank you, Bro. And in this verse also in the purport, actually, it is mentioned that according to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Ganesha and Durga mentioned in this verse, where their names are mentioned, where Krishna mentions the worship of these. They are not the same personalities present in the material world. Rather, they are eternal associates of the Lord in the Vaikuntha. And then there is further little more details.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I hope that's...
Thanks, Radharanjan Prabhuji.
Hare
Beautiful.
Krishna. I just had a follow-up, Mataji. Can I complete my thing?
Oh, yeah. Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. So basically, as Brajivan Prabhu mentioned, that keeps on replacing like worship of Lord Vishnu without Lord Ganesha, and then the same is replaced by devotees to worship of Vishwakshena, who is the spiritual counterpart or the source of probably Ganesha. But we are not praying to Vishwakshena also, right? Prabhupada asked us to pray to Guru Parampara, Gaur-Nitai, and so that we just follow what Prabhupada says, right? So exactly, it does. Jiva Goswami also come to that point that he also ends up worshipping, concluding for the worship of Guru Parampara and Guru Maharaj. How is it? I was curious about that.
So we always, whenever we are worshipping Krishna or any Vishnu deity form, Ram Narsimha, we are not qualified directly to worship them. So we always offer them through our Guru and our Acharyas. So we worship our Guru Maharaj or spiritual master, then Prabhupada, and then offer. So they are the one who are offering the worship to Lord Shri Krishna. That's how we see it. And as Jiva Goswami says, for worship of Ganesha, for the Vaishnavas, it is not required. But if somebody still wants to worship Ganesha before worshipping Krishna, my understanding is that is fine. And because with what mode we are worshipping Ganesha, that is important. It is not for any material gain, but rather we are worshipping him as associate of Krishna or as the subservient of Krishna. And we are asking for the only favor that let there be, please remove any obstacles in my devotional service to Krishna.